Hey, I'm Steve Lato, and today we're at the Gilmore Car Museum in Hickory Corners, Michigan. Mopar's at the Red Barns, and we're walking around my friend Doug Schellinger's Superbird. This is the vehicle raced by Ramo Stott back in the day, and it is a time capsule of what stock cars looked like back when it was real stock car racing. This Superbird is a special car. Among other things, it won the 1970 ARCA 300, which was the first race ever won by a Superbird, and it actually wound up winning 4 races with Ramo at the wheel, 3 in ARCA, 1 in USAC, and it actually did race a couple times in NASCAR, where it finished in the top 10. Ramo ran the car through 1972, which you could do in some of the other circuits, so that's pretty cool. And the car has been restored beautifully. Ramo is still around, by the way, and he's seen the car many times and signed off and said, yep, that's that's my baby. Doug's going to pop the hood for us here in a second, take a look at the engine. Technically, if you want to get really into the details here, the engine is not a NASCAR engine. It is a street Hemi, but it's been outfitted to look like it would if it was powering this thing back in the day, and everything else checks out. This is a Nichols Engineering build, of course. You got 2 shocks in every corner. You got a big old monster motor there, and we've got signatures here of a bunch of the people who worked on and or raced the car. That's Ramo's signature there, and a little bit to the right, it's kind of hard to see. Richard Petty even signed this car with a flourish. It's faded, top right corner, there it is, along with some other drivers like Charlie Glotzback, and I think I saw Neil Castles in there somewhere also. Some of the lesser-known guys who did, though, race back in this era. Just love looking at this huge motor in this car. And like I said, this car ran back in the day on all 3 circuits, and Ramo was a champion in ARCA a couple years. Check out the front end. You'll notice there's a few modifications on this car. It has the front end intakes similar to the Daytona, which NASCAR would not have allowed, but USAC and ARCA would. They're a little looser in those other circuits. And in case you're curious, the front spoiler is off the car right now. I think Doug told me he may have bumped it into a parking structure of some sort, like a parking block. The old days, back when you just wrapped your steering wheel in electrical tape, but the cars were safe. Look at those big old bars there protecting the door. Of course, you got the roll cage, and you got a bunch of, I don't even, you can't call it plumbing, but you got, pipes and things everywhere. Of course, the driver was comfortable, but there really wasn't room in here for a whole lot of other people, but you didn't need it. And of course, there's a differential cooler there in the back, and a whole set of gauges up front, but no speedometer. You don't need a speedo because there is no speed limit. You have a tachometer and a bunch of other gauges, and of course a key. Back in the day, they actually started stock cars with a key, and of course a 4-speed transmission. And it's just neat knowing that this car actually raced for several years in the good old days, back when stock cars actually were based on stock cars. There we have where the door handle used to be, and of course here's where the exhaust comes out. It gets very, very loud there. And unfortunately didn't get to hear the car run today, but just get a good close-up look. There's a new Superbird logo, a little different than the one that came from the factory. There's the adjuster for the top wing, and of course there's an observation hole there that you can check to make sure that the safety cable's running through. We'll take a look at that in a second. There you go. Safety cable there running down the one stanchion. There are 2 stanchions on each side holding those wings in place. The street versions also had lighter versions of the stanchions. And then there's the inspection plugs from USAC and NASCAR indicating that stock, that tank is legal. And then, of course, the stanchions on the right-hand side. That's an oil tank right there. Ramo had this thing set up so in case he needed more oil during the race, he could just summon it to the engine. And even Doug says he's not sure how Ramo could tell whether or not the car needed oil, but apparently he could just go to that reservoir there and get a little extra oil on the fly. And then as we walk around the rest of the car here, beautiful shape, 1970 Plymouth Superbird. This car actually raced in USAC, ARCA, and NASCAR. And it looks pretty much exactly the way it did back then. Like I said, differential cooler right there. And the ignition stuff up here, because you don't have a need for passenger legroom. Why would you need that? And of course, stickers. If you won a race with a sticker on your car like that, one of those sponsors might flip you a couple $100. And if you didn't win, at least you had the cool looking stickers. So that wraps it up for Doug Schellinger's Superbird, formerly raced by Ramo Stott. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.